Right, well, I probably died more times in the last 15 minutes than I have in probably the last year of gaming, and it's all because of this man. It's this man's fault. We're talking about Defiance. Can you give our viewers a little just background on what Defiance is?
Yes, so Defiance is a AAA third-person shooter, MMO. Takes place in a wide open, seamless world, online progression or online persistence, full progression, character progression. And it's just a very intricate story. Comes out April 2013, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and the PC, as well as the television show on the Syfy network.
Now, we'll just sort of talk about that sort of symbiosis between the two, because I believe that there's some sort of influence going on there. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so, Trion and Syfy, we've been working together for since day one with this. You have a lot of times where people make a show off a good game, or maybe make a game off a good show. That's not how this has worked. Syfy and Tryfi, we've just been really from the ground up building this together. So what this has enabled us to do is build the story arcs together as well. So we'll have crossovers from the show and the game. So characters from the show will leave, come to the game. Players can go on missions, adventure with them, and then when they get back in the show, they'll talk about what they did. Now, one thing that we take pride in is both the game and the show are highly entertaining, and they stand totally separate on their own 2 feet. But if you take the step forward and you decide to play the game and watch the show, you have the ability to change the world. And now what I mean by that is you can actually influence the show from the game. So without giving any spoilers, there will be missions and content that you can do, and based on, player participation, the show's storyline and whatnot can be totally influenced by the players that play the game.
And how does that sort of impact design for characters, for weapons and stuff like that? I mean, the collaboration must be obviously very tight, that perhaps you don't do something that's not appearing, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, when it comes down to the design between the two, we constantly have Trion guys at Syfy, constantly have Syfy guys at Trion. It really has been quite a challenge, but one that we are both very anxious and very excited to conquer and get over and launch this beast of a product.
Do you ever feel like you want to design something incredibly crazy just to see if they can do it in real life?
Well, there's been a lot of agreement that we won't go too crazy, but I mean, the guys at Syfy, they've been absolutely just, outstanding, and they're always willing to listen to our crazy ideas. And we're always willing to listen to their crazy ideas too, because it's just two incredibly creative teams that are just trying to make amazing things. And there's things in real life that are difficult, and there's things in games that are difficult as well. So it's always a bit of a trade-off. And at the end of the day, it's really confident we have an awesome product.
Let's talk a little bit about level design, perhaps using what you've got here at Gamescom as an example. I mean, how are you entering that frame, thinking about how you want to design it and how you want to structure it?
Well, like for this, it really comes down to what we're building it for. So this was a standard team deathmatch, 6 versus 6. So we knew we could have very tight quarters. We wanted to have close combat. Now, Defiance PvP or versus does feature vehicles. We don't have vehicles in this map, so it changed the dynamic a little bit. We go up to 32 player, so those maps are obviously much bigger. They have a lot more open space. This was much more close quartered, so we'd like to keep things a lot tighter. Sight lines are much lower. So things like that. So it really comes down to what you're trying to accomplish with a map. And with this one, it was just frantic fighting that you could get into quickly. Even if you died a lot, more than you have in the last year, you could still get in and either die again or kill again, depending on what you want to do.
Can you sort of talk about your character you bring into the game and developing him, or him or her, should I say, actually, and you can carry that across multiplayer and vice versa?
Yeah, so one of the things we're really excited about in Defiance that you can't do in a lot of games is the character that you develop in that large open seamless world I was talking about in PvP, you actually bring the same character into PvP. So in doing this, you can then level them up in PvP, bring them back to PvE, and use all the same gear. So you don't need to have another separate gear chase. If you get that awesome assault rifle, say from a quest or a mission, you can bring that into PvP and kill people. Or, if you do enough PvP and you happen to get a reward, you can bring that back into PvE. So we don't segment our player base. It's very transparent. It's an open door, back and forth. Just, have fun.
And you guys are known for your multiplayer. You guys are veterans at this sort of stuff. But I often wonder with this sort of long-form game whether you guys are like, God, I can't see any end in sight. Is it hopeful, like with the Syfy series, they'll almost be like seasons? So it'll hopefully be like a sort of mini break between them that you guys can put your feet up for once?
Well, it's one of those things, and I think Trion's known for very well is the amount of content that we release for games. We're extremely aggressive. And in today's business market, it's very tough to stay competitive. But as long as you listen to your player base and really give them what they want, which is tons and tons of content, I think you stand a really good chance. One of the things we get with Syfy is what we call episodic content, and what this allows us to do is, with each season we can interject new things to the game, which is above and beyond the standard content releases that we're planning for, which is a very aggressive post-release content plan.
It's a competitive market. What do you feel that Defiance has that gives it the edge over that competition?
Well, Defiance has quite a few things. First is that large open seamless world where we have the huge PvE environment. That's a great thing. You can build a character however you want to build them. We're classless. So you play half the game with a sniper rifle and you decide you want to do an assault rifle, we'll pick it up and go. We're not going to hold you back. The second thing that we do was what I had talked about earlier, that PvE to PvP crossover. It's amazing. You don't have to worry about stats on your gear or anything like that to hold you back. You just kind of take your stuff and go. And then the third thing is the tie-in with the television show. Who else has done that? So it's just amazing, and it's really, really exciting to see that we can put the power in the video game player's hand and just really let them decide what may happen on TV.
Where are you now, and what's the roadmap until launch?
We are super busy, and we will continue to be super busy until launch and even after. It's one of the things about having a live product is, once the game launches, it's when it really starts to begin. You're starting to get a lot of feedback from players. You really have to meet the deadlines. You have to make sure the content's out. So we have a long way to go, but we're super excited and super passionate to get it done.
Listen, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us today.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, and enjoy Gamescom.